5 points per game that you got to make up. And you don't think Clay, Draymond, somebody else can make up 5? Now, Draymond might not be able to make up 5 points.
and Magic is making up for it with his assists.
Right. I mean, that's what I look at from when you talk about the GOAT, right? Is I can pop him in any point guard's position and nobody's going to be like, oh, well, they lost a step. That team lost a step.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. I am Tavares Ferguson, aka Ferg, joined my co-host, Buff and Razi. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
We got a lot to get to, so I just wanted to go ahead and start the show off with last week I had to fly to Mobile and lost another loved one in my family, my Uncle Herschell. And he was special to me because I think I may have told this story on here before, but you know, when I was a young kid, I never wanted to spend the night over anyone's house. It was just something about the thought of my parents leaving me somewhere and them being out of sight, out of mind. But his house was the first house that I actually wanted to spend the night and just play with my cousins and have fun. And ever since that first time, anytime I wanted to spend the night, I could. Like if I was just bored at my house, I could call my Uncle Herschel. Hey, can I come over there and spend the night, Uncle? Yeah, come on, man. So I just show up there. They always had the good stuff. My cousins, man, they got hooked up. They didn't just get like a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. They got a Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis. You know what I mean? So it was always cool to go over there. He treated us good. I played football for him a couple of times, baseball a few times for him. He's a legend at Peters Park in Mobile County in general, man. He spent like over 40 years in the Mobile County public school system. So rest in peace, Unc. Job well done. We miss you as a family member. So I just wanted to mention that at the top of the show, man. Also wanted to keep people updated. I think I'm on Denzel Washington movie number 11, Courage Under Fire. I just finished that. And, which I'm sure we'll talk about, somebody had a debate last night, fellas. Did y'all check it out?
Oh, I don't go there yet. There's a couple of things. I want to back it up. So, first of all, I think you know this. You know, before I left for Dallas, right? You know, I literally stayed across the street from them.
I don't think
so.
I
probably played with you when I was 3-4 years old. Like, if you look out their front door, that house that's right next to Peters Park, across the street from the house, that was my house.
Okay.
So, like, I used to play with Herschell. Like, Herschell's probably one of my, and he probably doesn't remember. I have a great long-term memory. But he's probably my first friend in Mobile. Well, him and Dedrick Dial. Like, who stayed around the corner, but him and my mom worked together. His mom and my mom worked together. But, like, Herschell, they used to take me, you know, they had a van or something, didn't they, back in the day? Yep. So, like, they used to pick me up in a van, and we went to places, and, you know, that might be where I figured out I was allergic to onions, maybe. I think we went to Whataburger or something, and they got onion rings, and if I remember correctly, that might be how. Now I'm putting everything together. But, yeah, I've known them, that family, damn near my whole life. Didn't reconnect with Lil Hurt until high school. And I'm like, man, I used to have a friend named Herschell before I left for Mobile. Stayed right across from Peters Park. Like, that would be me. And, you know, so definitely knew them for, like I said, years. We're talking about 82, 83, right? So definitely would be missed. And high school, we were over there quite often. He gave us free reign, looked at us like we were stupid, but gave us free reign of the backyard because he wasn't just letting you roam around the house. Right. Yeah, so definitely will be missed. And you said movie number 11. Out of how many movies? Remind the audience, because we might have some first-time listeners.
You're right about that. So I'm watching every Denzel Washington movie in the order that they're ranked according to Rotten Tomatoes. I believe it was, 46 movies? I guess I can look real quick. It is 47 movies. So 47 movies, and number 11 was Courage Under Fire. Quick recap. Number 10, Inside Man. Unstoppable, number 9. Malcolm X, 8. Crimson Tide, 7. Much Ado About Nothing, 6. Mississippi Masala, 5. Devil in a Blue Dress, 4. Fences, 3. Tragedy of Macbeth, 2. And number 1, Glory.
Glory, I definitely would. That single tier. Yeah, that's memorable. Oh, and I kind of cut you off. You were talking about the Republican debate.
Well, I just was asking, did you guys check it out?
We did. We were talking about it.
Yeah, we were chatting the whole time.
Who stood out the most to you? What did you take from the debate?
Who stood out the most? Vivek Ramaswamy probably stood out the most, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing. But I think he has been the biggest talk after the debate by the political pundits. And I think in second place is a close second place too is Nikki Haley. Those are the two that I'm seeing being talked about the most.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nikki got the biggest bump from it. I think Vivek, there's a lot of talk behind him, but I think so many people went after him to show how naive he is and how little experience he has, that, well, we're talking about the Republican Party. Vivek probably got the biggest bump from that.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we talking about?
I think Nikki showed that she knows what she's talking about and that she's willing to go against the grain a little bit. I don't know if that helped her or not. So the funny part about it is I think she got the biggest bump from independents and Democrats that may be looking at some voice of reason in the room. I think she got that. The problem is she can't get the nod with that. And so I do think Vivek got probably the bigger bump in the Republican nomination.
Yeah. I agree. Vivek definitely stood out. If I had to describe Vivek, I wouldn't count him out. Now, the biggest knock against him is he doesn't like anybody else on the stage. And Americans, they've already gave you your one. But if they want to come in and shake things up, he is the perfect mix of Trump and Barack. The young, nobody knows me, it's not your time. I'm trying to shake up the establishment. I'm trying to clean out Washington. You know, that I don't have this political background and I say whatever the hell I want to say. That dude, and he's smoother. He's smoother. He's scary. He might have been, outside of DeSantis, he might be the scariest person on that stage. Like how adamant he is about things. Like global warming is a hoax. Like he just came out like, no, it's a hoax. I'm gonna pardon Donald Trump on day one. You know,
people he can't do if Trump's on state charges. He can't pardon him from.
He'll figure out a way. Right? I mean, these are Republicans we're talking about.
True.
You were trying to use the law. It was very interesting. Was there any comments that stood out the most to you guys, or any question or answer?
It was a lot more. It was a lot of the same that you hear on pretty much any Republican debate, right? I'm going to dismantle the Department of Education. I'm going to cut funding. I'm shrinking. I guess the most eye-opening thing to me was when they were talking about cutting jobs in the government or whatever. They're talking about shrinking government and they're cutting jobs, and they were like hanging a badge on their chest because of that. Like, I don't know, man.
I guess if I had to say, I would say Nikki was probably the most honest on that stage. Maybe Asa, but he didn't get much time. But Nikki was probably the most honest and fairly brave. And I'm not even talking about what she said about 45. I think by her saying that, hey, you know, the Republicans are responsible for running up the debt. Mm-hmm. She's telling them, look, can we let go of this abortion thing? And if you're not going to let it go, can you at least be honest and let them know that, hey, I'm going to need at least 60 senators in the Senate to pass it, instead of saying what you're going to do on day one when you know you can't do it on day one. That's something that I wish politicians would do more during these debates, instead of reciting these talking points and speeches that they have memorized. And that's something that I've always wanted a politician to say, because you always hear them say, I'm going to do this on day one, I'm going to do that on day one. No, you're not. On day one, you're going to come to the Capitol, you're going to sign some meaningless bills, and then you're going to go to your parade. That's what you're going to do on day one. If you don't have the numbers in the House and the Senate, you're not going to do any of that. But they never mention that part.
That was one of the ones that stood out to me. Was her, like, I mean, she's scary. So I'm like, she might be a little too eccentric, but I loved her honesty. She might, out of all the presidential debates I've ever watched, she might have been the most honest. Like, I was sitting there like, even when she was, you were talking about the abortion thing, she was just something like being a woman, and like she was saying like, hey, I'm pro-life, but we gotta look at this the right way. We gotta stop demonizing and making people feel like they're evil for doing this. And I gotta read more up on the up until last day, because I think those are more so for health reasons. If I know, it's like, hey,
it's actually legal. I want to say 18 weeks or something like that. It's illegal after that, unless it's a health reason, birth of a mother, that type of thing. So when they talk late term abortions is the child has died in the mother's womb, or the fetus has died, and they're going to abort it to make her go ahead and have the child instead of having to carry it for the full 9 months and go into labor, or they're going to like induce the child coming, or it's the mother gonna die or the child gonna die, and so they'll have a late term abortion because they're like, hey, we're gonna save the mother's life over the child's life. Those are the only times that you can have late term abortions. Like, there are very few exceptions.
And I hate that they don't, and that's what I knew those were kind of the parameters, but I wanted to see if there was something I was missing, because they made it seem like, yeah, you know what, we good. We done decorated a room and all this stuff, and we're just going to abort the baby. As somebody who has, been in a room where we lost a child, right? Somebody who has been, my wife had, with my son, we had a very scary and rough pregnancy. My wife was on bed rest almost 6 months. Those were decisions that we had to make. At this point, we have decided, it's too dangerous for us to have a child. My wife's life is in danger. We're done for that reason. And if I had to make that decision, then we're gonna make that decision, right? Like, it's something that I would give her the right to do, and she knows my stance is I'm gonna choose her, because at the end of the day, mothers and babies die together all the time, and it's so stupid. But maybe I miss. Were you about to say something on this, Buff?
DeSantis told an abortion story that I believe is untrue. Right. And I hope someone is fact. If you missed the debate, he said he knows a woman named Penny from Florida who tried to have three abortions. An abortion. Yeah. 3. The grandmother came and rescued the baby out of a pan and saved the baby. From just a quick fact check, the only story that is remotely close to that is a woman that was born in like 1955 in Michigan. And her nickname was Penny or something like that. But he threw that out there, and when I heard it, I was like, man, that sounds far-fetched. So I really want to research that one, because he threw that one out there, and it sounded like bull.
Yeah, he's full of it. And maybe I haven't been paying enough attention because I get very annoyed by the whole political theater. I think Pence, I mean, he made a statement that really separated himself from Trump, like on that stage. And basically he's like, the president asked me to put him above the Constitution, and I chose not to. That was one of his last statements when there was a question, was like, do you think he made the right choice for January 6th? And at the end of the day, he said, I think I text you guys like, hey, what does that do for him? Like, is that damning to Trump? Any more damning? Where it's like, so when you said he asked you to put him above the Constitution, what does that mean? Is there any credence to that? Does that have any weight to what's currently going on?
I definitely think that's probably going to be part of his testimony, or when they ask what happened, because he's not named in any of these lawsuits. I don't think. So he's not named on even the Georgia one, and so that lets you know right there that they don't have him in this whole collusion of it. And so I do think, or he cooperated. He's an unnamed witness, one or the other. Which may be to where he said, that statement that he said there may be what he told investigators during the investigation. So
Rico, yeah. Let's talk about that's the whole. Let's go ahead and switch to Rico though. Like, let's talk about it. So
yeah,
that's interesting you say that, because one of the things about Trump's indictment is he can't mention any of these people, including, and I think, well, not including, but I think that kind of encompasses or includes former Vice President Pence, right? Like, it's you can't attack him. And I feel like Trump's going to say something, because Trump's really good at pushing the limit to see how much room he has, because he can't go on social media and attack any of these people. And so I'm very interested to see how that plays out too. Like, when he said that, I'm like, he said that shit at the Republican debate. All the Republicans are watching this shit. And so basically he said it without saying it. To me, I took that as like, yeah, this dude pretty much asked me to lie and, take the election. And and because of the Constitution, and it protects him, because he's not saying, I disagreed or whatever. It's just like, based off the Constitution, which we're all sworn to protect. I put my hand on the Bible. He had that whole conversation, and, I made a promise to, on the Ronald Reagan Bible, to the country and to my God, the higher being. You can't really be too mad at him if he words it like that. And if that can be used in his testimony against Trump, because for them, their best bet is for him to be out, for any of them to have a chance of getting the nod, he needs to go down.
Yeah,
and I think
because just a quick fact on that: nobody who's had such a lead as Trump has ever lost a nomination. So that
did
it
Hillary?
Can always be a first.
I feel like Hillary had that lead.
She didn't have a lead this big, not as big as Trump's.
Did it hurt him, or did it hurt him not to be at this debate?
I don't think so.
It helped him, actually.
Yeah, he didn't have to debate. He didn't have to say anything, and he didn't lose any ground.
Yeah.
There's no upside for him being in this debate when you got people like Asa Hutchinson and whoever the other governor is. They're like polling at 1%, and you stand there and just let them take shots at you. Like, he gains nothing from that.
Mm-hmm.
So who was the biggest loser in this debate?
I think kind of DeSantis, because all the last 2 years we've been told that DeSantis is the biggest threat to Trump. And without Trump there, I expected him to be the biggest discussion after the debate. He's probably he's probably the fourth most talked about subject after last night,
Vivek,
after
Nikki,
after Nikki, and after Trump. We're talking about Trump too. So he comes in fourth. He didn't stand out. He didn't do anything. He didn't show himself as above the rest of the pack. And it looks like Vivek and Nikki possibly gained ground on him.
Yep. But there's that because it's DeSantis, Pence next in the polls.
Nationally, it's Vivek. It's Vivek. Yeah. Now in Iowa, Tim Scott is in third place. So it's Trump, DeSantis, Tim Scott. But nationally, it's Vivek.
How y'all felt Tim did?
Well, he's a senator, so I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, he came off as a senator. Like he was stoic and he had his points, but he wasn't fiery enough, I don't think, to stand out.
Is that what the Republican Party is looking for? They're looking for another fire starter. Like they don't want a voice of reason. How did Chris Christie do? Did he hurt himself? Okay, he did better than Tim Scott. I'll put it like that. He did better than Asa in those folks.
He's decided to be the one that's bold enough to go after 45 the hardest. He kind of gave Mike Pence some props,
which I think he had to.
And you could tell he was probably the most irritated by Vivek out of all of it. Like they all were irritated, but he was visibly irritated by Vivek. So, he needs to get a gym and a personal trainer. I think. Well, you know what? I always think the president should look presidential, but Trump just took that away. You know, madman with orange hair.
Trump, the thing is, he had the orange hair and everything, but Trump still hangs a suit, right? It's still a little bit of kind of he has that take over like aura about himself. Like he carries himself presidentially.
Christie does not. Christie looks like
Christie doesn't. He's frumpy.
Like he got his suit from Sears. I don't even know if Sears still exists.
I don't know about that with 45. He looks terrible. I mean, his suit comes past his belt line. He looks awful. I mean, his tie comes past his belt line. He looks terrible.
I was just now looking at him, and
I think it's his bombastic attitude, and he says stuff that, you know, the dog whistle stuff and everything else that comes from
and that's why I said Vivek was really good at doing those things. He reminded me of the, like, I'm going to say this blaringly shocking statement. And, I mean, he had some good points. You know, even talk about the identity crisis of America. You know, which everybody wants to, you know, we're America, we're da-da-da. I was like, come on, dude. Like, we're Americans aren't proud to be Americans right now for the most part. Like, it's so much going on in this country, and it's not the America. Oh my God, that. And
that's a dog. I'm gonna tell you, that's a dog whistle too. Like, yes, Americans aren't proud. Like, Americans are still proud. The problem is when they say that we have this identity crisis and we're not. They're talking almost like, let's go back to the good old days. I want the 50s back and all that. Like, when they say that they want this America type thing where we run everything, we're the big bully on the block and all of that.
They missed a big opportunity too. He said he thinks 45 is the greatest president we've had in recent memory. And 45 is currently running. So they should have all turned to him and asked, so then why are you running?
Yes.
If you think he was the greatest president and he's running again, then what are you running for? Mm-hmm. Why not support him and help him get elected again?
So I noticed that, and I was saying, like, if he gets the nod, is somebody on that stage going to be his running mate?
Yeah, I'm sure Vivek wants to be.
Yeah, somebody after said that they're running for VP. They're not running for president.
Well, Christie isn't.
That's all or nothing with Christie. Pence can't get it again. You know, Pence has thrown him under the bus.
DeSantis can't get it either because Trump is now looking at that, Florida resident. He's a Florida resident.
So I'm thinking Nikki or Vivek are two potential strong, because Trump can be, you know, molding, you know, Vivek for the next step. If he plays it right, like if he gets the nod and this guy is singing his praises, Nikki Haley. I mean, she would gather the women vote. I don't know. I can't even say that.
I got to be honest. Vivek kind of sounded like a fool up there to me.
He did.
I think his best two choices are Tim Scott and Nikki Haley. If he had to pick somebody on that stage.
But I mean, a fool picking another fool? Like you act like Trump makes smart choices.
And he doesn't have to pick any.
No, I'm just saying, I can see that. I just want
the listeners to know that.
I can see that being a good choice. And it was so funny to me. And we spent way more time on this, but I feel like the listeners want to have this discussion. It's very new. It's so much going on in the political realm that you got to talk about it. Oh my God, where was I going?
Well, while you think of that, Putin just. Well, no, I ain't gonna say that. Never mind.
We can't say. Yeah.
Never mind. There was a tragedy that took place. A plane crashed.
What we can say is that the gentleman that was in the plane crash did lead a revolt against Vladimir Putin and the Russian, oligarchy. And he was they put down the rebellion. He left for 3 weeks, I think it's been. And then he crashed. He died in a plane crash. We will let the listeners figure out what that means.
I'm just saying.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Saturday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Saturday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Saturday. Saturday, bring it on.
But I think we spent enough time talking about that. So
agreed.
It's young Sophia available, or is she in the bed for now?
I don't. But I got a joke. She might be, but I got a joke for y'all. Billy McFarland. I don't know if you guys know him. The Fire Festival guy. He's doing a Fire Festival too. Tickets are going on sale. Starting at $4.99 up to $7,999. That's my joke. We got a fire festival too.
That's a very good joke actually, or a very bad joke depending on how you look at it.
If people buy these tickets, bruh, like if people buy these tickets, I hope that they lose their money.
We know about Fire Festival, but after Fire Festival, he got in trouble again for another scam. So I don't know how many chances does he get? Like you say though, you want to book with him, go ahead.
Y'all are giving people way too much credit. We just spent the last 20 minutes talking about the Republican debate and former President Trump. People are going to vote for this guy again. They talked about, law and order and all this stuff. Oh, that's what it was. It was so funny. They were talking about, coming after Hunter Biden, and nobody's above the law. It's like, exactly. Nobody's above the law. Throw the book at him. But 45, that's different. That's different. Like, I don't get, like, that should have been like back-to-back questions. The Hunter Biden things. How do you think we should do this? And how do you feel like people in power feeling like they're above the law? With that being said, former, 45 is, facing numerous criminal charges. I think 91 to be exact. And he's running for the highest offers in the land. Well, that's different. Like, it was just so, I'm sitting there like, and people don't see it, or people refuse to see it, or they refuse to see it.
Yeah, it's cognitive dissonance. They see it and they don't care. That's
I say all that to say, you think
to.
people won't go buy these tickets? You give people way too much credit.
Oh, people are it may sell out again.
Why wouldn't it? Because this time,
because people like, it's going to be different this time. Yeah,
FOMO.
Yeah,
because
that's it.
Because if it happens, it's gonna be the best concert ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty, who wants to jump out there first?
I actually don't mind, but I can't remember if I went first last week or not. So I don't want to be greedy.
I think you did because I went second. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Mine might be quick. I mean,
It's never quick.
Well, this one might be. I mean, it's an opinion piece, but we'll see. So there's a whole bunch of talk out there. Essentially, Steph Curry came out and said he was the greatest point guard of all time. And the GOAT, Michael Jordan, came out and defended Magic Johnson and said no. Magic Johnson's the greatest of all time. So Steph came back and said, okay, it's, out of him and me, but I think it's me. And so I want you guys, just your take on greatest point guard of all time. Is it Magic? Is it Steph? What's the difference?
It's never good when you have to say it for yourself. Like, Jordan may call himself the GOAT now, but when he was playing, he would always say, I that's for you guys to decide. With that said, I agree with MJ. It's Magic. And my knock on Steph Curry is because people say you can't only count championships, and I'm not. But when the talent is that close, you have to use something to separate them. And that's why people use championships when you have two players with almost equal level talent. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, hands down. Ain't nobody touching him with shooting the rock. As far as point guard, I go to Magic. Now they both have. Steph has 4 or 5 rings, one of them. But
5 and Magic has 6, I think. Yeah. Or is
no, Magic has 5.
5. Okay, yeah. So Steph has 4.
Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at Steph's rings, okay, he got the first one, but that Cleveland team was already without Kevin Love, and they lost Kyrie Irving in game 1. But okay, cool. You want to give him that ring? That's fine. He won that ring. The next year, they blew a 3-1 lead. Okay. And then in the championship, that first championship they won, he didn't play spectacular. He didn't even win finals MVP. Mm-hmm. And then they go and get Kevin Durant and win 2 more. So I'm not going to say that negates his rings, but you had Kevin Durant and you wasn't the finals MVP for any of those. Then, you finally come back and you win one without KD against Boston. And to me, I hate to say real, but that's like his one real championship versus Magic in his rookie season. He takes over for a legend in game 6 and wins the championship for the Lakers. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar goes down. He's hurt. Now, I have to be consistent. I'm thinking about Isaiah Thomas. I was going to say Isaiah Thomas won a ring in the finals where Magic didn't play. So I kind of look at his rings with an eyebrow raise as well.
Yeah.
So Magic has 5. He is the GOAT point guard to me.
Ferg?
Byron, you might have swayed me. And it's not that I was just heavily Steph, but I look at talent versus talent, right? Like, Magic was dynamic. Magic had the size. Like, Magic, once again, LeBron's game was closer to Magic, right?
Yeah.
LeBron is probably a better Magic than Magic was. And so they had never seen a point guard like that before, a point forward, so to say. But I was thinking, like, Magic wasn't the best person on his team at some points, right? Like,
when was that?
Kareem, his rookie year, Kareem was still the go-to. He still was a go-to. Kareem got hurt.
He was at the end. He was at the end of his career at that point.
He still was a.
That was Magic's team.
Okay, we can disagree. We can agree to disagree on that one. But I'm not trying to take anything from Magic.
Yeah.
It's more so like, because I grew up a Magic fan. My dad was, especially, and probably it might be biased. It's the time, like our generation, and a lot of people won't even consider LeBron being the GOAT because we grew up idolizing these guys. And, the game was slower, it was more physical and all this stuff. Magic was built for that. For me, it's the fact that Steph changed the game. Like, this dude changed the game of basketball. It has not been the same since Steph Curry became Steph Curry. And, where everybody's trying to be a point guard. You got 7'2" centers out here trying to, bring the ball down the court and shoot threes. Steph did that. He has 4 rings. You can switch, because he could easily have 5. Right? Like the one they lost to LeBron was when, the 3-1 lead you saw they blew. People got hurt. Freaking Draymond got suspended. All that stuff. The shift, right? I've never seen anybody just like, you couldn't guard him. Like, Steph is unguardable. Like, this dude just throws up threes. He looked like NBA jams, right? Like, you're just like, he's on fire. Like, this dude's throwing three. Like, of course, he's the greatest shooter hands down. But point guards aren't supposed to score like that. Like, he changed the game. If you're looking at traditional point guard and what they like, the Magic, the no look pass, like the Magic was the quintessential point guard. Like, if you had to build a point guard for the 90s and early 2000s and the 80s, Magic's that person. Like if you were playing 2K 2002, you had to build a player, you're going to be a point guard, and you're like, I'm going to be 6'8", 240 with speed. It's like, no, you can't do that. Like, if you're that big, you got to be slow. It's like his physical dominance helped make him who he was. Because remember, they tried to make him, they wanted him to, almost switch positions. Like, dog, you're not, we can't put you at point guard. We got this, this veteran who's quick and yada, yada, yada. He's Showtime. He's Magic, but nobody, I can't think of anybody who's changed the game of basketball like Steph.
For all that game changing he's done, though, we've seen the movie when it's just Steph leading the team and they're a lottery team. We saw Magic take a finals team with Lottie Divac as the next best player to the finals. So, like, I like Steph. He is the greatest shooter, but he cannot take over a team and lead them to not even to the playoffs.
He can't control a court.
Yeah.
That's what you want. That's what you want your point guard to do.
Do we forget the 72-10 season
with Clay and Draymond?
Yeah.
I'm saying Biles was the leader of the team. No. But they had a season. They had a season where Draymond was hurt and Clay was hurt. It was just Steph. They were a lottery team. We saw when Kareem left and Worthy was on his way out and he just had Lottie Divac, he led them to the finals. When Kyrie left Cleveland and Kevin Love wasn't there anymore, LeBron led them to the finals.
And I always say this.
And we're not saying it's not like we like Steph is trash. We're not saying that. We're saying I know that. He is definitely, for his team is built differently because he's not a true point guard, right? He doesn't control the floor like that. Like when you talk about triple doubles, like Michael even said, Michael was like, Magic created he made the triple double what it is. Like everybody was like, oh, that's a normal thing to have a triple double. It's not a special thing. Like when you talk about he beats Steph in steals, he beats him in assists, he beats him in like when you talk about things that you look to a point guard, rebounds, like when you talk about things you look, they aren't, but I mean it's like he's doing all these different things. But when you think about what a point guard does, Magic did that. And again, Steph's a great player. he's great, but he's not like when you talk about a point guard. I don't look at Steph like that. Like Steph's not the first point guard that comes to mind. It's Magic.
So in 2023, prime Magic, prime Steph. Who you putting your money on?
In 2023?
Yeah.
I'm still going Magic.
What team?
I was asking. So
okay.
there's a lot of things. So I look at talent. Like when we talk about Jordan and his dominance, it's like you got to think about all these freaking dominant, crazy athletic players that we see today. Like it's these guys. Like it's to me, and I love 80s, 90s, early 2000s basketball, but like these guys are freaking. You know, like even a Westbrook, the people that try to talk shit about him. Westbrook is a freaking like this dude is an athletic phenom.
Yeah, I get it. But I'm thinking about if I take Steph out of Golden State and I plop Magic in there, and we go back to I got Clay and I got Draymond sitting on that squad too, they're still winning.
No, because he's not scoring enough. They're not scoring enough points. Magic was
You don't think he's gonna feed? And Magic was putting up numbers.
He wasn't putting those points.
He wasn't putting up threes, but he was putting up numbers too.
His career points average was not that. Like he was more of a triple double.
Steph is like in the mid to low 20s.
Let's Google
for his career. I think you put Magic on that Golden State team. Klay Thompson is your scorer. Like he's gonna set Klay up. He's gonna set. They had who was that? I hate to call him a goofball, but he was always Shaq and a fool, the center. They had him there for a while. Man, he probably would get so many lobs and stuff, man. Like
the most points average in a season was 23.9.
All right, so I said Steph's average is 24.6 and Magic Johnson's is 19.5. So you're talking a difference of about 5 points per game that you got to make up. And you don't think Clay, Draymond, somebody else can make up 5? Now, Draymond might not be able to make up 5 points.
and Magic is making up for it with his assists.
Right. I mean, that's what I look at from when you talk about the GOAT, right? Is I can pop him in any point guard's position and nobody's going to be like, oh, well, they lost a step. That team lost a step.
Okay. For me, I always think about who you played against. And I still don't see the level of competition. Physicality is, and I'm not saying I'm picking Steph. I'm saying it's like, is it harder to go do a repeat today versus 86? You know, like where you had teams just dominating because they were bigger, stronger than everybody else.
I don't know. LeBron went to like 9 straight finals, and the Warriors went to like 5 out of 6.
And they couldn't win them all because it was like, and it was just certain teams. I think about, and we always look like who were the all-stars LeBron played against versus all-stars that freaking MJ or Magic were playing against. You know, it's go look at the Detroit team that was that had a dominant streak. And like those guys look like scrubs. The Celtics team,
they had back-to-back championships, and one of them without Magic playing.
Okay, the Celtics, you know, like the bad boy Pistons, the Celtics, like those teams, because they could just dominate. Because when you're just the best, you're just the best. Because the talent wasn't there. I would say if you're looking at just like, for me, it's hard to compare because the game has changed of what a point guard is today versus what a point guard was in 89, 90.
I actually think it's a push though, because I think you're right that the competition is better, but it's also easier to collude talent to one team. Steph Curry played with arguably 3 Hall of Famers: Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson.
Kareem, Worthy. What are we talking about?
Kareem on the end of his career. Those guys are in their primes.
But that was kind of like when people talk about LeBron. Like he played with Wade. Wade was on his way out. You know, it's the same thing. It's
who's on their way out?
Wade was not. Wade wasn't Flash. Wade wasn't Flash by the time. No,
LeBron got there.
Yes.
He had just won the scoring title the year before LeBron came. What are you talking about?
2 years, like 2-3 years before, bro.
No, he won.
But I'll tell you, you're the Miami fan, so I'll yield to you. Wade was not Wade to me. The Flash that I knew when by the time they made the change.
He arguably was the Finals MVP if they had to beat Dallas. LeBron averaged like 18 points that Finals.
Yeah, he was still carrying that team even when LeBron came down there.
Oh, I was trying to do stats.
You want the stats? Magic season MVP, Magic got 3, Steph got 2. Finals MVP, Magic got 3, Steph got 1. All-time NBA first team, Magic got 9, Steph got 4. All-time All-NBA team, Magic got 10, Steph got 9. Scoring leader for the year, Steph got 2, Magic got none of those. Assist leader, Magic got 4. And stats leader, Magic got 2, Steph got 1. Points per game, we talked about that. Steph has them 24 to 19. Rebounds, like you said, 7 rebounds to 4.7 for Steph. Assists, Magic got 11. Steph has 6.5. Steals per game, Magic has 1.9. Steph has 1.6. And then blocks, 0.4 and 0.2 for Steph.
So they're separated in scoring by 4 points, but they're separated by assists by 12 points. Assuming that most of the assists that Magic had were 2-pointers and not 3-pointers.
And you gotta think, but that's what a point guard was supposed to do in 1988, right? When your leading scorer
that's what most point guards still do now.
And freaking Westbrook, and like you have point guards who are like the leading scorers of your team now. Like the point guard role has changed.
Yeah, but
Trae Young,
Westbrook, his MVP season, didn't he average like double-digit assists? So he's still assisting.
No, and they were losing. Westbrook
they went to the playoffs.
They went to the playoffs. Westbrook was chasing stats. Let's like that year Westbrook. But I'm saying like the point guard role has changed.
And that gives me another example. Westbrook led his team to the playoffs when Kevin Durant left. Steph Curry's team is a lottery team when it's just him.
Okay, because he can't. The things he does are different. The expectations from him are different. And I think they, because Steph didn't play all the game. Like, Steph was hurt that season, too. But you got to give him that. Steph was hurt that season, too, because he was coming off an injury. That whole team was squad. But then they came back, 2 years later and won it all?
They beat Boston,
Yep. So, my heart wants to say Magic, but I always got to push the envelope because I'm like, we're just addicted to this person and we don't realize, like, when they say LeBron and Jordan, I'm like, they play the game 2 different ways. Like LeBron, like Jordan was like, nigga, give me the ball, I'm the scorer, that's what I do. LeBron is like, dog, I'm Magic, right? To me, you compare, if you had to say compare LeBron to Magic and then Jordan to freaking Kobe, those are the comparisons because they play the same game. It's like comparing like, dog, Brady's the GOAT. Then you look like, well, you have people like Barry Sanders who just was a freak of nature and nobody had what he had. And you're like, well, you can't compare. Like the roles were different. Brady's going to touch the ball every single down.
Brady is the GOAT though.
Yeah, no, Brady is the GOAT. But before that, like before he won championship number 27.
I had Jerry Rice before that.
Yeah. But, and then some people had, I don't want to go down that road. You're right. Let's go. Move down,
You want second question or
I'll go. I'm going to change it up because so how often do you guys find yourself saying one or two of these words or phrases? Pause or no homo?
I don't. Maybe, I'm sure I have, but I generally don't.
What about you, Razi?
I rarely say no homo. I'll say pause though.
Okay.
So it's for me, it's like saying a joke and going, huh? Like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm calling out the gayness, not necessarily as I'm doing, I'm not gay. It's like the double I'm calling out the double entendre, so you be like, huh? You see the joke there? like that's really what it is for me. So I don't look at it, and I'm guessing that's where you're going. It's like the anti-gay agenda around that, right? That a lot of people try to use it as, like, to say I'm not gay, so I didn't say it. I don't use it that way. And so when I say pause, it's like I'm standing by what I said, but I know that was gay too. So, it is what it is.
So the reason I brought this up, it was two situations really. So one is, and now I'm gonna ask my question. One is for the 4th of July, I had a friend come over and they were talking about, I had grilled out, we had hot dogs and stuff like that. And it's like their son, who's a teenager or a preteen, couldn't eat a hot dog because, I can't eat a glizzy, especially in front of people, and the parents are kind of like, the dad coaches football and stuff. Is like, oh, you about to eat a glizzy? Like, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, I can't even believe this is happening in my home. And then the second one is because I mentor young men, and I'm in the thick of the social, the new social norms, the things that people are expected to say. Like even when we're traveling, and I'll say something like, "Oh, you ain't gonna say no homo or no pause." No, absolutely not. Like, I'm grown. Like, don't worry about me. I'm good. And so my questions were, do you say either and why? And you kind of hit on that. But what impact does it have on society, mainly the black community? Are we getting worse, more homophobic? Like, to the point where, like, there's kids that realize they can't eat, like, it's really a thing. Like, dudes can't eat a hot dog, or excuse me, a glizzy in public. Like, it's, can't eat a hot dog, a banana, freaking eat a popsicle. Like, dog, these are real things going on in our community right now. And is it getting worse? And why? How can we stop it?
I don't think it's getting worse, but it's getting more vocal. So I don't think we have more homophobic people, but I think people that are homophobic or just take issue with a lot of what's being, I don't even want to say push, what's being out there now with transgender and all the different letters of the alphabet community now. I think the more and more people see that kind of haven't progressed to that, are speaking out more about it. So they're more vocal than ever before about it. And of course, everyone has a podcast, everyone has a YouTube channel, and they get a certain amount of following for, putting those feelings and those thoughts out there. This actually ties into my closing topic at the end of the show. But so I don't think more people are more homophobic, but I do think we hear from them a lot more.
The homophobic people,
yes,
or like
yes.
the community. Okay, so yeah, I think it's one of those things that it's definitely not as bad as it was before, right? Like, even playing the pause game, I talk about the whole, I look at it as just calling out the double entendre or whatever. Like, there are people who will play the pause game, say, hey, I can't do this phallic stuff because I'm not gay, and they're still not homophobic. Like, they still have gay friends or whatever, even if they don't want to be, like, mistaken for it, right? For being gay. So there's this spectrum that's out there now where it's a little more accepting, even from the folks that are, like, really ingrained, I gotta be hyper masculine, because that's really what it is hyper masculinity. It's like, oh, I gotta make sure that people know that I'm not gay, so I gotta, I can't eat a hot dog, I can't do this. But ultimately, I still think there aren't as many people today that are ready to lynch a person because they're gay, or run them out of town, or you can't be in here. I don't think there's as many today as there was. So I do agree, Buff. I think they're more vocal. There's more opportunities for them to say stuff, but society has shifted now that you can't do much to them. Like, it's not like back in the day where you could beat up a gay person and even the teachers would be like, well, they shouldn't be gay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that anymore. And so I do think there's not it's not this push that, like, oh, we're going to be anti-gay. Everybody's going to be anti-gay. Society isn't anti-gay. I think there are pockets and there are people that still are anti-gay, but they're not as many.
Okay. I think I totally disagree. Because think about it, like you called it a game. It's a game to freaking heterosexual males. It's like, it's just like white people having like the nigga game. Like, say nigga, like whatever it is, it's still like you're going out of your way to identify. So it might not be the egregious. It's almost like racism. It's not as egregious, but so it's a microaggression. It's a microaggression that we keep trying to make. We're trying to normalize it, like where every kid, like we're from the 90s, 80s, 90s, where they might beat up a gay dude, and everybody's not going to beat up a gay dude, back then. But everybody's saying pause now, and to the point where you're expected to say pause now. Like to the point where, like, we grew up, there was hot dogs. Like right now, kids aren't going to eat hot dogs in the cafeteria because you can't get caught eating the glizzy. Like it's the microaggressions have grown to the point where it's not as violent or volatile, but it's still there. So I think it's so ingrained in the culture to say these things, and we're toning it down. Anyone from like, I don't hear no homo no more. Like I really don't hear that as much. It's just pause. And it's like, we weren't saying pause. We weren't saying no homo at 15, 16. It was just, I'm not gay.
But we also laughed when you said something that was kind of gay. You laughed at the dude. Like, let's not act like we didn't jank each other if you said something gay.
I remember we janked each other about everything, and I just don't remember gay being a specific, like, maybe we weren't smart enough to come pick up on double entendres, because we weren't just like we were, because I just, and it's not trying to like we were perfect, like we talked about, everything, but it wasn't like if you said something, it's like, oh, Razi gay. Like, it wasn't that in 1997, 1998. No, I don't remember that.
Well, we did do it. Nigga, you gay. Yeah, right. We said that shit all the time. But I guess what I'm at, you said you completely disagree. So do you think more people are like that, or are you just hearing from them more?
No, so I what it is, I think more people have accepted have become part of the microaggression status, where they're not necessarily homophobic. So I'm glad you cleared. Maybe it's not homophobic, but there's this need to say or clarify, or it's become a cultural norm where you might even think about, like, I don't want people to think I'm gay, but I gotta say this because this is kind of the social norm now. Like it's, it's like almost like saying thank you and excuse me. It's people look at you, in our culture like, oh, you ain't gonna say pause? People are typing and everything. It's like, you'll send out a text and it's like, oh, my bad, pause. It's like, dude, you're 42 years old. Like, you got a wife and 7 kids. I'm not worried about you, or if you are, so in what? Like, why do we feel the need to clarify? Like, the thing about it is, like, you're saying this for a lot of people, not everybody. They're playing the pause game. I didn't know it was a game. They're playing a pause game. Just to be part of, social norms. But there's people out there like, I just need to make sure I'm not gay. Because what if you are? It is. If you are, so freaking what? Like, we're so.
Well, it's so what if you are gay? But if you're not gay, you don't want to be thought of as gay.
Why not?
Why?
I mean, my thing is like, if you guys like, what Ferg might be like. It doesn't matter.
I mean, like an in shape person doesn't want to be looked at as fat. Like you want to be what you present yourself to be.
I guess because to me it's like,
and being gay has been weaponized too, and it ain't just men. Like women, that's what go to for women at men.
Exactly.
Like women that disagree with Kevin Samuels. What was the number one thing they said about
agreed.
him?
And my thing, and so you're right. So it's the point that's why I'm saying, like, people are so adamant not to be gay, because it's almost. It's you're downgraded. You're looked down upon. It's like you would look at somebody different, like, oh, he ain't say no homo, or he's gay, or the chicks are calling him gay. Like, if he's right, he's right. His sexual preference has nothing to do with the fact that you're a horrible mother and you can't find, like
So-
whatever he's saying.
So this goes back to the question I asked probably our second or third episode before, when I asked you, why wouldn't you accept a drink from a gay man? And both of you guys said, because I don't want him to think I'm gay. So have you changed that answer now?
I don't accept drinks from any man. Like, just, it's strange. Like, my
What are you talking
homeboy.
about?
I mean,
Like my homeboy, like, you're not-
or somebody.
Like,
Are you kidding me? You've
a
never accepted...
a strange guy's never bought me a drink. Period.
Okay, all right.
That's
Okay,
like
like
my
a stranger.
homeboys. Like, I'll buy a round. Like, I have homegirls who will buy rounds of drinks. So it's just like, that's weird. Like, why does dude buy me a drink? Like, that's just weird. Like, there's dudes that don't even get it. It's like, they're just too friendly. And I'm like, that's a weird dude. Like, it's just
Well, why is it weird? A strange guy buys a woman a drink. Why can't a strange man buy another man a drink?
I just don't like strange men buying me drinks. I don't like strange people buying me drinks. And it has nothing like, I know he's not gay. I don't think he's gay. It's just like, you give off weird vibes. Like, I have, maybe he listened to my show, so I'm not gonna talk about it. Like, I know somebody who stays in my neighborhood who's just very weird. And he's just like, this dude is weird. Like, he might bring me up like, I have an extra jug of water. Can you bring, you guys want? It's like, what, dude? That's just weird.
Well, I've been out with coworkers. There's a guy there that we didn't know. He wasn't from Alabama, spent a lot of time in Alabama. We got to chopping it up. Hey, next round on me.
And so, yes. And so we made and so in that case, if it was a gay dude that we met at the bar and he was just cool with everybody, that's different. I'm thinking I'm sitting there like, oh yeah, buddy down there bought you a drink. If it was a straight dude's like, man, you just, I take it back. Because when we were in uniform, we were military. We go out,
we
people
got
would
that
buy
all
us
the
a
time.
drink, but we knew why they were buying us a drink. Like, it felt right. But like, if we're just sitting at a bar, like, I have never been at a bar and like, you know what? I'm gonna buy buddy a drink. Like, never happened a day in my life. A random person I've never met, have a conversation with. But if we start conversing and really talking, we chop it up, like, oh, what you drinking? Like, we can do that. That's different. And we've been on doing the show for 40 years. Maybe.
I still don't want a gay guy to buy me a drink. I'm good on that.
Okay. I get it.
I think I agree with you. Tone is a lot to do with it. Context is a lot to do with it. And so again, there's a difference of playing the pause game where you're trying to call it out like intentionally. Like, hey, I know this is a double entendre. If I was like, man, I'm gonna ram you so hard or whatever, might say pause after that, right? Like, just to be like, it is what it is. I'm not saying it like that. Because I catch it like you say it and then you like, oh, I didn't mean that in the gay way. Like,
But they know you didn't mean it in the gay way. So like, what's the point?
It's just one of those things, man. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. Like, but it's just one of the things. Like, I'm calling it out.
So you're worried about sounding gay? But
No,
I've known you for yes, you are, because they might have took it in a gay way. So you got to admit it. You don't want. You just said it. I don't want them to take it the wrong way. I don't want to sound gay. But I've known you.
Because I know you're not gonna I know you're not gonna think I'm gay or whatever. I mean, we've known each other for too long for you to think I'm gay. But it's still just kind of like one of those things. Like I saw it going that way. Like after the fact, I was like, oh, that could be mistaken for this. I'm gonna be like, no, it was this. Like, I'm just clearing it up.
I just think because it's and the only thing
it's fun to do. It's funny.
Yeah, just like white people
humor.
Like white people want to say nigga. It's like they want to say nigga because it's fun. It's
like, I wouldn't be calling you the F word or anything like that. Like, there's a very difference of that. Like, no nigga. We should start saying that. No nigga.
No nigga.
You say something real hood.
No nigga. Like, you sound a little too black.
You just call it nigga logic. Is that what you say, Ferg? Nigga logic? It's that same thing. It's like, hey, that's some gay logic right there. Like, let me get you back on the right
I don't want to be mistaken for a nigga. So, that was my question. It's just to me, like, I think things like that, the social norms have shifted, and to the point where it's just you're still calling the game. you know.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I will concede. I definitely think the people who feel they have to say it, the people that are like, I can't say something with that double entendre and not say it, or I accidentally say something that may sound gay, so I have to say it. I do think at that point, that's why I talked about that context of how I'm saying it or when I'm saying it. Like, I don't feel the need. If I say something and it might sound gay, I'm like, well, it might sound gay, but this is what I said. Versus me, like, if I say pause, it's intentionally saying pause to call out the gayness of what I said.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to know that it was gay.
Yeah. Microaggression.
Oh.
It's because it's still no nigga. It's like you are determined to separate yourself, and it's cool. You know, because I get people. I had people like, so you ain't gonna say pause? Like, no, like, nigga, like, I'm 42 years old, man. Trust me. And the last thing, you know, like, dog.
If they call it out like that, I'm definitely not saying it either. Like at that point, it's like, no, why?
Like I'm sitting there with these guys, like young boys. You know, they laugh. Everything's a joke. Like, oh, like, dude, I don't care. Oh, you ain't gonna say, like, no. But what, I don't care what you think of my. You know, I don't have anything to prove. I don't care. You know, if I was, it wouldn't change me as a person. Like, I don't care that much. You know, What might be good though is, I mean, I haven't talked to a gay person about this to be like, hey, does this bother you? Does this really bother you? Like, that's the thing. I can't speak for that community. I mean, you know,
it probably if
blame the Boondocks for that pause.
Yeah,
episode.
when it was like that nigga gay, like
yeah. I mean, I can almost assure you this. They're not like, man, I love when I hear people say no homo or pause. I'm pretty sure they're not fans of it. They might have gotten used to it or deal with it, but it's like, man, that makes me. They're not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're not champions of no homo or pause. But who's up next? Do we have enough time for another one?
No, I think we have time.
So let's go ahead and close it on out, fellas. Anything else?
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Well, your question, Ferg, as I said, it ties into what I was gonna speak about. So I told everyone how I went home for my uncle's funeral, and after the repast, we decided to hang out at a spot on Airport Boulevard called Havana Rays. It's a cigar bar. So got there. It's a lot of gentlemen there, a lot of masculine energy in there. We drinking old fashions and all type of topics came up. And I'll just say this, because I'm definitely not gonna, say names or whatever like that. But I'm gonna say this. We got a long ways to go. So even if I'm right, Ferg, in that the amount of people haven't increased that have a problem with homosexuality, if that number has not increased, we still have a ton of people that have all sorts of problems with it. I heard comments like, there are no gays in the queues because that speaks completely against what manhood is, and being an Omega is what a man is all about, and you cannot be gay in that fraternity. They finally conceded that in a fraternity that large, just based off numbers, then yeah, maybe there is somebody gay in it. Something is mentally wrong with people that are transsexuals, that are gay. Something's mentally wrong with them. They mentally effed up. We're going too far with all this gender stuff. We got a long ways to go, bro. A long ways. Like, forget the transgender stuff.
I mean, they brought that up during the Republican
There are a large segment of people that still are not even comfortable with homosexuality. Like, I thought homosexuality was like I thought at least that was like, man, whatever you do is your business. it still ain't even all the way there yet. It's still like, man, something wrong with them and I don't like it and blah, blah, blah. So just want to say we got a long ways to go. I did, however, enjoy that time though. We didn't just talk about that. We talked about sports, just like this podcast, all type of things, disagreed on stuff, argued, laughed. So I did enjoy everybody there. But just comments like that, comments like R. Kelly shouldn't be locked up, comments like once a girl, you know what? I'm going too far. Because I don't get nobody in trouble. It got bad. It got bad. Yeah. It got bad. But I just want to put that out there.
Once it's grass on the field?
Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah. So that and I know Chicago is usually used as a conservative punching bag, but I do want to mention this, that it's come to this. It's come to where there's a group called Native Sons that are asking gang members in the city of Chicago to please not shoot anyone between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Pretty much saying, look, this will decrease the amount of innocence and working people getting caught up. Can y'all just do us that favor? So I do think Chicago gets unfairly used as a political punching bag, but that doesn't mean it's not bad. And, you know, shout out to the people that are trying to do things to help and curb the violence there. But clearly a lot of work still has to be done. So I just wanted to bring that awareness out there and hope something changes in that city. Because I enjoy Chicago a lot when I visit.
Dope city.
Man. Yeah. I just want to say shout out to Sha'Carrie Richardson, fastest woman alive, won the 100-meter race in the World Games. So shout out to her. And extra shout out to her, man, because she only gave interviews to black media. Because she said, I'm not worried about the world because I've seen the world support me when I was on top and then turn it back on me when I was on my at my lowest. So shout out to her, man, for coming back, doing her thing.
I'm curious what she means by that, though.
I mean, I think, and what I
inferred from that, talking about the criticism that she got.
Not just the criticism, but the way and why I think that's a little bit of why she only gave black media interviews after she won is you could kind of see a divide in how she was being covered after. So how that criticism came. It wasn't necessarily that she was getting the criticism because, you know, we were on the podcast and we said it was stupid what she did, right? We never gave her an out for what she did, but at the same time, we didn't demonize her either. And I think some of those media outlets completely demonized her, like, and that's why she's not going to those outlets now that she's back on top.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So shout out to her, man. That's all I really wanted to say. Oh, and Michael Oher got his new boo. And based on that, a black woman said, "Hey, what is this? A conservatorship? Oh no, baby, let's go fix this right now." So shout out to him for getting his house in order, man, and getting out of that conservatorship, and hopefully getting him some money for The Blind Side and his likeness. He needs an NIL deal at this point, I guess, because yeah, bruh.
There's a running joke on social media that men will tend to not say anything if their food order is messed up or whatever like that. But their woman will say, "Oh, no. Y'all gonna come fix this." And he just kind of stand back in the cut and let her go off. Now I picture her doing it just like that. "No, baby, it's cool. You know, I still got money coming in." No. We gonna take care of this right now.
So that's all I got, man. Shout out to the black women of the world this week.
Indeed.
Okay, so I'm picking up where you left off, Razi. You stole a little of my thunder. I was going to talk about we talked about this several months ago, Black Girl Magic. And I want to say all these girls are Southerners even. So the South has officially rose again in a good way. So we have black women across the Southern U.S. doing her thing, starting with Sha'Carrie Richardson. And I want to give her a little more kudos because I think we talked about it was stupid and stuff like that. And we didn't go hard on her, but I think we still had a little more judgment than we probably should have, just because she's 23 now. This is 2 years ago. This young lady was in the limelight, you know, and I'm not excusing what she did, but she was 21 years old. I did a lot dumber shit at 21 than she did.
And had just lost her mother too.
And she just, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so easy. So I want to take time to just say, stop judging so fast, especially, you know, the older we get, we forget where we were at. We talked about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about, you know, when I mentioned forgetting what it was like to be that age as a child and as a young adult. Like, I couldn't even think about. I know what I was going through when I lost my dad, and I'm still dealing with that. And I'm 42 years old. You know, I cannot imagine losing my mother and dealing with trying to compete and qualify for the Olympics for something you've been, you know, work on something you've been doing your whole life. So my hat's off to this young lady doing what she did, but in the way she did it. Like, for a lot of people, that would have been the end of their story. No, so Miss Richards, congratulations, you know, and she did it with style. It was her race itself was almost poetic because it was a straight comeback. Like, there's no reason she should have won that. Like, she was out of the race and she just finished strong. And so it was just poetic of how she, you know, she was from behind. She came from behind. She, you know, against all odds to win it. Secondly, Simone Biles is competing again. So she just won the U.S. Classic Gymnastics. So she's getting ready to compete for, I think, Worlds Championship, but she hasn't competed in 2 years. So she won that handedly by 5 points. She is a native Houstonian. So once again, another Southern young lady doing her thing. Sha'Carrie's from Dallas, I think. And then is it Fani Willis, the district attorney for Fulton County? Mm-hmm. And all the ruckus that she is raising in Georgia. I know Trump has called her all kind of black bees and nigga bees and all. She has people. I just hope she comes out on top. I hope she keeps her peace. But I'm so proud of this young lady for being able to piece together this indictment, or these indictments. I can't even call it indictment against Trump and his co-conspirators. Keep doing your thing. So black women doing it out here in these streets. I want to, you know, I talk a lot of noise, but I always want to give credit till credit is due. Keep doing your thing. And speaking of, let's give a shout out to, we mentioned in our show, Contentville, but for these young ladies to create a whole nother platform for podcasters like ourselves, homegrown. I think this is just wonderful. You ladies are doing your damn thing. Keep it up. It is an honor. I'll speak on behalf of the brothers to be a part of such a wonderful thing, collaboration, a family, so to say. Thank you for giving us opportunity. Thank you for thinking of us. So whatever you need, the brothers are here. All right. Well, Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. 6 Rules of Podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.